everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather and today I thought I would do a fun book tag since my birthday is approaching, and it is the book cake tag. This is one that I stumbled across in my recommended for you page. I will link the person that I found it by and the person that they were inspired by, although no one can seem to find the original creator these days. But using their prompts, I have created this quite thick slice of layer cake out of books. So let me talk you through these ingredients and how they've all formed my book cake. I tried to stick to books that for the most part I read this year, although I did dip into some nostalgia for my channel as well. So the first prompt is flower. Name a book that was slow to start, but that really picked up later on. And for that, I've actually gone with a series, which was the ACOTAR series. I read the entirety of Sarah J. Maas's Court of Thorns and Roses series this year. And to be honest, I finished this first book and thought it was just okay. Then I read the second book and everything changed in so many ways. So I would have to say this series fits the bill. Then we need to add Butter, a book with a really rich and great plot. And for that, I've chosen another series, which is the Poldark series. I have been feeling such a pull to reread this series recently. Every single book is just gripping. You grow to love these characters, even the ones you absolutely hate. Although, despite my desperate desire to reread it, it is 12 books long, and I have so many other wonderful books that I also want to get to. I can't quite decide. Then we need to add Eggs, a book that you thought you weren't going to like, but turned out to be really good. And for this book, I have to choose Loyally Luke by Pepper Basham. I spoke about this in my May wrap-up, but given that this was advertised as a Christian romance set on a fictional Scottish island, I thought I was going to have some major problems with this book. Typically, Christian romances are way too preachy and saccharine for me. I thought that the way that the Scots were going to be portrayed would be absolutely terrible, as tends to happen when we Americans write Scottish characters. But it turns out I was completely wrong. There were no bad attempts at dialogue, and there were no major conversion or, for lack of a better term, come to Jesus moments. It really was just normal people living out their faith with a really lovely romance plot running through the center. So I really enjoyed this one, and I'm actually going to try to read the first two in the series later on. Now we need sugar. So we need a sugary or sweet book. Now I would not class these as saccharine, but they are the sweetest romance books. And those are the Bells of London series by Mimi Matthews. This one is the first one, The Siren of Sussex. Every single book is just delightful. We always have a heroine who is typically in Victorian London, and they are all friends, they are all great equestrians, but each book follows one of them on their romantic journey, usually having to overcome one or two obstacles in society or within themselves to find that happy ending. They are clean romances, they are not grand or epic in any way, but they are so sweet and winning that I highly recommend them. Now we need Icing, a book that covers every single element that you enjoy. And for this is a very apt moment, I have to pull out Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. This book has everything I love. It's set in the Regency. It is written in a very witty and funny way with a very Austen-like style, but with a bit of whimsy as well. I always phrase it as if Neil Gaiman and Jane Austen wrote a novel together. There's adventure, there's deep mystery, there's a huge gripping conclusion. There are sweet characters that form my romantic ideal. There are cheeky looks at alternate explanations to history. It has it all, and I adore it. Now we need sprinkles, books you turn to when you're feeling a bit down. Since there are usually many sprinkles on a cake, I had to pick 2 books for this prompt. My first go-to is always Jane Austen, always and forever. Her books can always lift me out of a terrible mood and wrap me in comfort. But also, for a little bit more of a colorful plotline, I could also include Bringing Down the Duke by Evie Dunmore. This is another romance series that I cannot stop talking about. It follows 4 friends in, again, Victorian London, but slightly later than the Mimi Matthews series. And these women are all also suffragettes. However, we again follow each of them on their own romantic journey, and usually having to figure out how their morals and their politics and the person they've fallen in love with can all coexist. These are much spicier than Evie Matthews's. These are much spicier than Mimi Matthews novels as well, which I think makes them more fitting for sprinkles rather than sugar. And finally, we have the cherry on top, your favorite book that you read this year. This is always a really hard question for me to answer, but I think the one book that stood out in my mind when I thought about this question was The Last Chronicle of Barset by Anthony Trollope. I will never get over how modern feeling an end to the series this book was. This is the last in the Barsetshire novels, and what Anthony Trollope has done is taken all of the major characters from all 5 books that came before it and mixed them all together in one final epic plot, which feels so modern. It feels honestly like Anthony Trollope writing fan fiction about his own books. I loved revisiting all of these characters. I loved the way that they all interacted and getting to see them all up against one another. I just adore this book. So those are the books that would form my book cake this year. Let me know down below if you would also like to do this tag, and please link your video down below so I can find it and watch it. And until next time, be safe, be well, and happy reading. Bye everyone.